Good morning, officially now. What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations, 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner, 2018 Innovation Award winner, given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. And I co-host and co-produce the only online show in the world for dads and fathers. It's sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care. And as always, I like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. And I've got to apologize for a few things, but some of the things are out of my control this morning. First of all, we were chatting in the green room, and I go, "Oh, it's 9:00."
Yes,
So I try to go live, and then I'm getting, for some reason, I can't put this out on Ryan's LinkedIn channel. So I'm trying to do it, and then it says LinkedIn cannot allow broadcast to start 15 minutes early. I'm going, it's scheduled for 9:00. It's 9:01. And I'm going, what's happening here? So I'm trying to do this. It won't allow me to do it. So I said, okay, I'm just gonna forego Ryan's LinkedIn channel for the moment, and then see if I can put it on while it's on in real time. So good morning, Ryan. How are you?
Hey, good day, and always good to see you enjoying the crisp fall air. I will officially say when it's September, summer's over, time for school. But those that don't know me, my name is Ryan Knight, one of the co-founders of the Afro-Caribbean Business Network.
You love sticking your chest out. Hey, you
gotta make sure I haven't figured out, unless I have to sit like here. All right.
You love stick out your chest.
So, yes, one of the co-founders of the Afro-Caribbean Business Network. We work with entrepreneurs of African and Caribbean heritage, really to figure out what stage their business is in and help them create a strategy to grow their companies exponentially. And I am an entrepreneur myself. I run a company called Detailing Nights. So we provide mobile waterless car cleaning. So we go to people's houses or their offices, clean their cars on the spot without using water, and our plant-based eco-friendly cleaning supplies. And we do have our youth entrepreneurship programs running. So that's going to be slow. Some of the students are already going back to school. They're like, hey, I got to get prepared. And one thing I did want to shout out to my nephew, Niall Knight, who is heading to the University of Windsor. And my little nephew, I remember babysitting him when he was just born and playing video games. I have a picture of him on my lap with the PlayStation controller in his hand when he's like 6 years old. And now he's taller than me.
What?
I've been heading out to University of Windsor, so I gotta give a shout out to
him. Best wishes and best success to him. Honestly, good morning to Miss Red and White, Fitness IQ Cam, who was on me the other day about, oh, you spending time with your parents. I said, what's wrong with that?
Exactly.
Okay. And why was she down at Invest Fest, which was a big earn your leisure thing that went on last
year? You went to that in Atlanta?
No, I thought she'd be a guest speaker, but she didn't go.
Like, wow.
She didn't go.
That
she goes,
hardcore.
Oh dear, about my technical challenge this morning. No problem. We found a way. We are broadcasting on Ryan's LinkedIn channel now. So just the first few moments not checked out. We've got Ted E. Evans in the house. Good morning. She says, Fitness IQ goes, hey, Ted. And also says, she's really in the comments right early. Says, congratulations for your nephew. And she goes in capital letters, no, I didn't. Talking about UIL. That's it. So what's been going on with you before we bring up Mr. Harris?
So what's been happening this week on Tuesday? Shout out to Ryerson, which is now TMU, Toronto Metropolitan University. Their BBGSA, which is the Black Business Graduates Student Association, had their Black Business Summit. So I was the keynote speaker there. So thank you to Lex Stackhouse and Morgan, who are the current presidents, and I guess they're going to be exiting and supporting
the
presidents coming in. So
well, you know what? Little secret. I was supposed to be on the panel, but I couldn't make it. It was too close of a conflict. I had to host a conversation that night, so it was just really tight. But I'm glad it went well.
Downtown, so the DMZ Sandbox right at Yonge and Dundas.
Yeah.
And I went with Stephanie Sani Edwards from the BBPA.
Uh-huh.
She was saying that was the first time she's been back to Young and Dundas in like over 20 years.
Yeah,
So now it's totally changed, right?
yeah. I went to an event that they had a while back. I wasn't at the DMZ Center. It was actually in the university itself.
Right.
But I haven't been to the DMZ Center. But bless you for surviving the downtown traffic. Teddy Evans has a smiley face. I guess he's saying because of Camille saying hello. Donna Harrow, good morning, Donna.
Good day, Donna.
Fitnets goes, Ray. And I always can count on this man being here when Wayne Harris is in the house. Trevor Dunlop is in the house also. You know what? And this will lead into us having Wayne up. Having good perspectives lately. I think and we had this, last night, Ryan jumped in with Christian on Dr. Vibe's Allies, and we're having a really good conversation about freedom from a Black lens. And I mentioned this during the live conversation last night. I use the word melanated a lot, and I don't had a brain thing in the middle saying, should I be using Black instead of melanated?
Interesting. And I was listening when you asked the question, and I was curious, as you've slept on it, have you kind of come to...
I'm still ping-ponging on it. So,
I mean, everybody has a degree of it. There's like very low amounts or very high amounts. So that can include other cultures that...
Yeah. So family out here, I'm asking you, help Dr. Vibe come on one side of the fence. Should I be saying, when we're talking about us, should I say melanated people or should I say Black people? And it's interesting. Victory Unlimited, one of the panelists last night, said, well, melanated seems to be a more modern term. But Melanie said, yeah, but let's do it Black tonight. So I stayed Black. I stayed Black, but I sort of like I had ping pong sort of up and down. But one thing I will say that more people. Ray McMillan's in the house, so Wayne Harris is dressed appropriately because Ray McMillan is in the house. Wayne is shaking his head, nodding up and down. Okay, all right. McMillan says Black people.
Okay.
Fitness IQ says do what makes you feel right, which is on the fence. Okay.
Well, that's where for us we always talk about like African and Caribbean heritage, but when we talk just in conversation, we typically use Black. And I feel like that flows easier than always saying African and Caribbean heritage. But yeah, really the heritage to me is the foundation. So if you can attest that you have African heritage or Caribbean heritage, I feel like we're talking about you. But yeah, in conversation, we just go Black.
Good morning, Opal Inspired. Hope you're doing good. Yes. Good morning from Ottawa, Tim Frey.
Okay. What's happening in Ottawa?
Oh, he must be with the backbench. Well, go ahead.
I think his daughter is going to university out there. Okay. Tim, let me know if that's right.
Okay. And Ted E. Evans says, Sophia Jacob, B1, Black with a capital B, always.
Yes.
And Teddy Evans goes, Black people is all good with probably me. Melanie is an option, but why take it so seriously? Okay.
Yeah, true.
So maybe I'll interchange it a bit. So it's all good. But one thing I will say, Black, and man, there's a whole pile of people in here already. So I'm going to cut my chat and get Mr. Harris on here. But I'm just going to lower a bit and say that whether it's melanated or Black people, I think the three areas that we need to measure ourselves are wealth, health, and relationships. So based on that, I'm going to get, just before we get, people are coming in strong today. I like African and Caribbean heritage as well, more specific. Heather Harris, like your emoji, by the way, Heather. Great morning, gentlemen, Black people. Not everyone wants to be Black.
Okay.
That's interesting. And then Roland Lewis says, hello all. So there's a pile of people in here already. So you know why? Because I have a reason why. Because Wayne Harris is in the house. That's why a pile of people are here. So Wayne Harris is in the house on Financial First Fridays. It is the 1st of September, family. The 1st of September.
Yes. Summer's officially done. It's done. Once we hit September, checked out.
All right.
Stop it.
But the sun is still out. I've enjoyed the sun, but that morning crisp, it's here.
Good morning, Wayne. How are you doing?
Fantastic. How are you guys?
Very
I,
good.
I
Very
must.
good.
I want to hail you up, Mr. Harris. I was doing. I don't do it a lot. I go on Instagram and I was looking at your Instagram posts, and I want to hail up you and Angie, your beautiful bride. The posts for 31 years.
Wow.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now, I really want to hail you up. Seriously, 31 years. Thank you to both of you for keeping it going, keeping it strong. I know, especially when you're black/melanated, it ain't always easy, but you're going strong. And I just want to say thank you to both of you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I can tell you that from the day I met her till now, my feelings have only grown stronger and our connection has only grown deeper as we've gone through multiple iterations of ourselves. So the person she met in 1985 in November, well, actually March of 1985, and the person I am today, night and day. I don't even remember who that dude was, but that dude, 1985, he was a confident dude, that little dude, right? He was MAGA for life.
Yes.
maybe 165 pounds at the same height I am now, and now 60 pounds heavier, a little bit grayer.
Love the gray beard, man. Loving it.
Thank you. We're hanging and doing our thing, and we were having that discussion in Jamaica because we were there for our celebration. Well, actually, we caught back just before we celebrated, but we took a picture in Jamaica at the hotel, and just being in Jamaica together, chilling and on the same page with 80-20 rule. 80% of the things she's cool with. There's 20% that she'll box me down for. Those 20% have not ever outweighed the goodness that we bring together.
Yes.
Thank you. Well, hail up, Angie.
Yeah,
hail up big time. Do tell her. I haven't seen her for a long time, but do tell her from me personally. I want to hail her up. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Before we go any further, also some housekeeping rules. Please subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and hit the notification button. Also like the Dr. Vibe Show on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Also to advertise your business or service on this platform, like the McMillan Group does on Mondays. Email me at dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. And we have a little bit of an ad roll going halfway through the conversation today. And then finally, join the Morning Vibe Discord group. Email me at my email address. Let's go to, there's some comments in here, and I know some of them are going to be congratulations here. So let's start. Sophia says, congratulations, Wayne, to you and your wife. A representation of what Black love and marriage looks like. Reminds me of my parents, going to be 49 years in November. Wow.
Nice.
Wow. And Trevor says, congratulations, Mr. and Mrs. Harris. Also, Ted E. Evans, congratulations, Mr. and Mrs. Harris. Fit Nance loves how you said MAGA. Let's see what we got. Lots of people in here this morning. Wayne brings the heat. Good morning. Happy new month. Latanya, haven't heard from you a bit. Fit Nance IQ says, Black love. So, you know what? Fit Nance says, when's Wayne joining the Discord group? Hashtag pressure, no pressure.
Okay, yes.
And then she says to Sophia's parents, congratulations. So, all right, my brother, it's the first of the month. Oh, also more congratulations, Sir Harris, and yours. What? Got a fan club starting here. We also got Ray saying, congratulations, Wayne and wife. Thanks for sharing the importance of marriage to us Black people. It is the solution.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, one of them for sure. One of them for sure. Especially
Excellent.
as things get more expensive. And this is probably a great segue
to
talk about that. When you think about the cost of living in Canada, right now inflation in the month of August is hovering around 3.1%. Down from 4.1% in July. Have you felt the difference in your favor? No. No.
Right.
Everything is still, what's the technical term? Teething. Yeah, everything's still teething out there. And we're still paying more for groceries, more for gas, more for rent, and things aren't getting better because the echo of that reduction in inflation probably won't be felt until next year, 6 to 9 months for it to work its way through the Canadian economy. But the Americans are raising their rates, and Ray can speak to this. So as the Americans go, usually we go. So we're going to see if Canada and your boy JT, if he's going to follow through with the Americans and look at the rates going.
I thought the only JT was the lead singer, JT Taylor from Kool and the Gang.
Or JT, Mr. Timberlake.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. So we got a good middle point. But yeah, so I just want to say, people you know already, but I just want to tell you, if you have any questions or comments, please fire them in if you're watching live. Wayne loves the live interaction. So does Ray, but we got into Wayne today. So yeah, I noticed this too, that the interest rates in the US, I have a feeling are going to be going up. They're not, they may be in smaller increments, but they're still going up.
Right. Again, no one can predict it, but the banks are battening down the hatches. You saw the number of layoffs at one of our biggest banks here that starts with R. And
yes,
another bank that starts with a T is also doing the same thing, and that's going to trickle down. They're the two largest banks in the country. Now, as people come out of their 3 and 5 year mortgages that are fixed, that were at 1.5%, 1.75%, 2%, 2.5%, and they were living the dream.
Right.
Until that mortgage has to renew sometime this year. And when they come out, it's like being in a vault or a cellar, a bomb cellar, and coming out after the bomb went off, and you're like, where is everything and where is everybody? Because your interest rates are going to go way up. And Ray can speak to this, and Ted is also a mortgage agent. He can speak to this. This shock that people are going to get when they see what their mortgages are going to be on renewal, that's when we're going to start seeing the repercussions of all these rate hikes. A lot of people are still in their last 18 months, maybe a year of their very, very good mortgage rates.
That's right.
And then they're going to come out, and then they're going to have this stress test, and they're going to have to requalify at this new number. And for a lot of people, that number is going to be $3,000 or $4,000 a month versus $2,000 or $3,000 a month. So where are they going to get the extra $1,000 from? If you're in a fixed income, you're working at a company, they're not going to drop you another $1,000 net per month, right? Where are you going to get that money? And this is where people are going to have to start scrambling and start thinking about, hey, maybe having all my eggs in my one T4 employer's bucket is not the best idea to give me options when things are not in my favor, especially when that employer can arbitrarily decide, hey, we're going to lay you off. Yeah. Thanks for the memories.
Yeah.
Well, we did, there used to be that phrase, quiet quitting. Now companies are doing quiet layoff or quiet gone. And I heard a story on NPR this week. A number of companies in the U.S. are basically saying, oh, your position no longer exists. They're not telling you personally you're fired, but your position is no longer needed. They're not they're being direct in a nice indirect way in regards to that, and the whole pushback of people having to go back in the office and people are not liking that.
Right.
But you're basically at a crossroads. So I hear what you're coming from in regards to this financial thing. Like I think it's finally really starting to get through the populace now. The whole trickle down theory, and I'm not a big believer trickle down economics, but trickle down, the impact of the interest rates is not a good thing. So we already have so Finance IQ is saying a lot of what's going on, and then
another technical term, yes.
And then so Frequency says, so is now not a good time to buy a house?
Great question. That really depends on what you have to put down. I was listening to Dave Ramsey, and usually Dave Ramsey and I don't see eye to eye on a number of things.
Okay.
But he said, hey, you know what? rent for as long as you can, and then buy as soon as you can. And I was like, why would you want to buy a single family home that you have to take money and pay on a mortgage versus paying rent, when what you could do is buy a multi-tenanted property and have money coming in while you live there for basically the same price as rent, but you have rent coming in from your unit, maybe it's an up top unit or a basement unit, and when mortgage rates go up or go down, you still have that money coming in from the secondary unit. Or buy a multi-tenanted property, or buy together. So rather than Ryan having 100,000, Vibe having 100,000, I have 100,000, we all go out and buy single family homes. The three of us put together on the $300,000 down and go buy a multi-tenanted unit, and we all live in there. And then we have some units that we can rent. And by the way, you don't have to buy that property in the GTA. You can buy it in Calgary. You can buy it in Nova Scotia. You can buy it in New Brunswick.
Yeah.
You can buy it in Manitoba. You don't have to live in the house you bought. And the house can cash flow positive. So I want people to understand that when you say, is it a good time to buy? What is it you're buying? And what are you coming to the table with? Those are my two questions. What do you want to buy? You want to buy a condo? Okay. That's one thing that you can buy. But if you were going to buy a house, one of those bungalows out in the East End of Toronto, Scarborough side, and it had a basement apartment with a separate entrance for the price of, I don't know, depending, it could be $1 million, it could be high eights, depending on the size of the house. But imagine if you have somebody downstairs paying $1,800 a month rent for a 2-bedroom basement apartment, and you're living on the main level with your family, or you live in the basement and you rent upstairs for $3,500 until you can switch, right? So people need to, the blanket statements of it's a good time or a bad time. The answer is it depends. What is it you want to buy? Where do you want to buy? And how much you come into the table with that's exposed to mortgage rates.
But this is good. We got and already the family is driving the conversation. So Frequency Event Promotion says common sense indicates that there'll be a lot of power of sales coming up. Ted says, and he's on the front line, who had variable rates saw their payments doubled. People coming up for mortgage renewal, their payments will double as well. And
take a doubling. Oof.
Yeah, Heather saying much of it is so nefarious. The average person is often hurt by the interest rate fluctuations and seldom benefits when the good times roll for these setting the rates. How do we stabilize the impact of inflation? This is a good question because, and I'll jump in a little bit here, but from what I hear from people, the best way to stabilize inflation is people got to lose their jobs, because then the big thinkers say, oh, that means less people are spending money.
Right.
So that cools down the interest. So Ray or Ryan, you can jump in, but not Ray.
She's asking a good question.
Wayne, sorry.
Thank you. I'm gonna rename myself Ray just so it makes it easy on you, Dr. Ryan. I'm all about helping. I'm all about helping. I'm all about helping the people. I'm about helping the people, Dr. Ryan. So I'm gonna rename myself Ray. Ray, you can become Wayne. It's a good name. Both of them are one syllable. It works.
Okay.
One of the things the Americans have that we don't have is they have the ability to lock in a rate for 30 years.
Yes.
Which takes a lot of the guesswork out of buying a house. If I knew I have a 30-year amortization, which is how long I have to pay off the mortgage to zero, and I know that I have one rate for that entire duration, I can sleep. I can relax.
Yeah.
But Canadians, for some reason, maybe Ray or Ted can tell me, we have to adjust every year, every 3 years, or every 5 years, meaning that we could get the shock of our life every 3 or 5 years. And this is what's happening now. So when that shock comes out, to the point of one of the folks who said, lots of power of sales. Listen, it's going to take a lot before banks start taking people's houses, because they know when those stories start going out into the blogosphere and the news cycle, that people are losing their houses because they can't afford the new mortgages. That's going to cause a little bit of panic. And our housing market is people say it's a bubble, looks like it's a bubble, smells like a bubble, might be a bubble, but when that bubble is going to burst, we don't know. Here's what we do know. When people start leaving the province of Ontario for other provinces in droves.
Whoa.
Usually the housing market in Toronto or in the GTA the prices start to move from a seller's market, moving towards a balance, towards a buyer's market. Here's the problem. Trudeau understands that. And in infinite wisdom, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing, he's just decided to bring 500,000 people every year to Canada. So as people leave Ontario and leave Vancouver because it's too expensive, he's going to bring 500,000 new people who don't know the deal into the market.
Yep.
And those people will fill those spots at some rate. Now, I don't know what he's telling people to come to Canada, but whatever he's saying is working because they want to be here, and wherever they are, to them is not as good as Canada, so they want to come. And he's going to bring another 1.2 to 1.3 million people over the next couple of years. So if you want to go to Calgary, you want to go to Moncton, you want to go to Halifax, God bless you, because there's airplanes landing every day with people saying, I want to live in the GTA.
Yes,
and
yes.
to Doug Ford's point, Doug Ford said, it's not 500,000 people coming to Canada. It's more like 700,000 people coming into Ontario every year. That's going to put upward pressure on rent and upward pressure on the demand for housing, which will keep this bubble moving in the direction the government needs to, because the Canadian Mortgage and Housing Corporation is guaranteeing a lot of these loans. So there's exposure to the banks, but there's also big exposure to our Canadian government. And neither one of them want this bubble to burst, because if it does, then it's going to be a big problem in this economy. And it has burst before. We saw it in 2008. We saw it a little bit in 2017. There's a little bit of a shake there. We saw it a little bit around Y2K, and we saw it after the 1980s. Ray and Ted can pipe in if they have any other.
They have piped in
inflection points. Go for it.
Okay, they have piped in. So, Chad C, thanks very much. Teddy goes, I witnessed a client with CIBC where she purchased a property in 2021 with a 30-year amortization, moved to a 50-year amortization, and growing as of today. Fitness IQ Camp says, I think our mortgage comes to renewal next year, so this is something to really remember. Well, you should have been thinking about already, because it's been circling all around for the last few years. Ray has said this: debt management is key for Black people. Rate changes are one thing, but consumer debt is what's crippling most Black folks. Ray's on point also says, I don't anticipate too many power of sales. Homeowners are sitting on too much equity. Heather goes, that's part of the game. You're always replaceable. And Ted says this: CIBC, RBC, and TD Canada Trust sell variable rate. Rate goes up, but your payments doesn't. Adjustable rate, as your rate goes up, your payment goes up.
Right. So two ways of doing it.
So very interesting.
So imagine being 35 years old. You and your partner put money down. You have 3 buckets to put money into now, as opposed to 2. As of April 1st of this year, and we discussed it before, we have the first-time homeowner savings account, right? And those are being set up by the major banks and credit unions right now. This is your 3rd bucket. So bucket number 1, RRSP, First-Time Buyers Program, where you can put $35,000 of your RSP towards a house, take it out of the RSP, put it down as a down payment on the house, and not pay any tax for moving the money from the RRSP. When you do that, every year for 15 years, you have to pay back 1/15 of what you borrowed back into the RRSP. If you do that, you do not pay any tax. If you don't do that, that 1/15 will count as income in the year that you didn't put it back into your RRSP. So you have $35,000. So if you and a partner want to buy a house in Canada today, $35,000 from you, your RSP, $35,000 from their RSP, $70,000 to put down. Off you go. Bucket number 1. Bucket number 2, TFSA, tax-free savings account, which says after tax money goes in, whatever goes into the TFSA, you do not pay any tax on what you put in, and you do not pay any tax on the growth in that account, and you have $6,500 you can put into there this year. But if you were 18 all the way back to 2009, you have $88,000 of room that you can put into a tax-free savings account, plus the growth in that account. You can use that and put that down in the house. Bucket number 3 in Canada as of April 1st, first-time homeowner savings account. You can put $8,000 a year into this account. It is a tax deduction just like an RRSP. You can put up to $40,000 over 5 years into this account. Started April 1st of this year. Here's the rub. If you don't buy a house, you have a challenge with the first-time home savings account. It's got to become an RSP again, assuming you have room. If you do buy a house, no taxes for you, and you don't have to pay it back. You just take the $8,000, put it down in the house. So now, 2 people could have $35,000 from the RSP, $35,000 from RSP2. Whatever they have in TFSA, 1 and 2. And then, if it's 5 years from today, $40,000 in the first-time homeowner savings account and $40,000 from the other side. So $80,000 from the first-time homeowner savings account and $70,000 from the RSP. Combine those plus the TFSA, off you go to buy your house. So the government is giving you 3 buckets to put money into that are tax advantage in some way. DM me if you want to know how to start one of these accounts. Now, some of the institutions, because the government came up with this in April, it's now September. Many of the institutions don't have their FHSAs set up, but what they will do, one of the providers I have will allow you to save the money with me at a guaranteed 5%, which is not bad. No risk on the money. And when they have the account set up, transfer it in there and you'll get your tax advantage. So,
okay, we're going to take a break because we're on fire. But this, I know Wayne is having a good time because the questions are coming. He loves this like live interaction. So we're going to take a quick break because we have a little spot to run today. So what we're going to do, if we can get this, okay, no, it's off now. So the software is a little bit funny this morning. So we're going to put this up and I'm going to do a little bit of a read for everybody. Okay, come up. All right. How's it come up?
It's up.
It's up.
There, finally, we got a little bit of a delay here. So we are going to talk about Frequency Event Promotions, a graphic design, advertising, and printing company located in Toronto. Will be delivering their 3rd business-to-business network mixer, hosted by entrepreneur, event organizer, Christopher Lawrence, who's also a big supporter of the Morning Vibe. Essentially, the network mixer is pulling together creatives, entrepreneurs, and even 9-to-5ers thinking about starting a business. The event will be held on Wednesday, September 20th at 6:30 p.m. at 245 Eglinton Avenue East, the Granite Brewery. The major intersection is Mount Pleasant and Eglinton Avenue East. Free parking is available. Refreshments will be served. The topic of discussion will be how to land targeted clients utilizing social media by Trevor Short, a product marketing leader. Incentive. Hey, if you register now, the first 10 people will win 250 free printed business cards, and also you can enter a draw to receive an iPad tablet. And that is Frequency Event Promotions, doing some good stuff out there. And also I'm just gonna, when it comes off, also just give a little detail on the screen because you can't write as fast as I chat. So those are the deets on the event. And I will also put the website address. I forgot to put that, so I'll put that back up in a few minutes. So we are back with Wayne Harris doing the thing on Financial First Fridays. I'm also going to bring in the IG audience because I know they're going to be in here also. And some comments have jumped in here also. So let me just do this. This is a lot of work. That's why I need a producer. Okay. So Quick Finance IQ Cam says, was it Questrade? Okay, so she says Questrade has the FHSA.
Yes.
So maybe some people don't know what Questrade is. So Wayne, could you explain that to us?
Yeah, Questrade is a trading platform, so you can do your investments on Questrade. You pay a small monthly fee or annual fee, and they will do your trade. So it's basically like a secondary trading platform versus using the banks. The good news about using the banks and Questrade and these sort of things is that they're very convenient. The bad news is that if anything happens to you while you have your money in these institutions, all the banks, all the credit unions, and all the trading platforms, those funds in those accounts are taxable in your estate and exposed to creditors that you may owe for mortgages and cars and anything else you're buying, versus working with someone like myself who can put them in a segregated fund, which means those things are not exposed to your estate. So should something happen to you while you're saving, all the fees and taxes that are involved with the bank and the trading platform are negated because it's on an insurance platform and you get the same rates of return, but none of the exposure to your estate.
All right. I promised to give you the website address for the Frequency Event Promotions event. So there it is, frequencyeventpromotions.com/events. So that is done. Next up, Brian, do you have any questions? You just seem to be taking stuff in. You're not saying anything.
Well, I wanted to touch on last night. We talked a lot about ownership and freedom. So to get Wayne, your take on what freedom actually means to you and how we can work towards that, because we heard locked into mortgages, locked into employment, and Ray even put locked into consumer debt. So I'd love to get your perspective on that.
Fantastic. There's a book out there that I have to read. It's on my list. It's called The New Jim Crow. And I have to get it, right? But there's a new slavery, and the new slavery is debt. Always has been, and always will be. Because if you owe somebody, you're not really free. So when people are worried about civil rights and what's going on with the Roe v. Wade in the United States and what's going on with the different communities, in the end, if you have massive amounts of debt, you can't protest your government. You're too worried about paying your bills. You can't protest all the civil liberties that you are losing. A couple of years ago, a little pandemic came about, and all of a sudden civil liberties were being taken. And a lot of people in Canada versus a lot of people in other parts of the world really took it, how should I put it? Took it sitting down or took it lying down. As the government restricted, hey, we're going to go into your bank account, truckers, and seize your accounts, right? We're just going to create emergency rules, and we're just going to go in there and seize every penny you have. Hey, if you don't get vaxxed, you cannot leave the province. I couldn't go to Montreal and go see my father because they had police at the border saying that if you're not vaxxed, you can't come into the province of Quebec. Civil liberties were being lost, and all Canadians just sat back and took it. You know why they sat back and took it? Because for every dollar a Canadian makes, $1.82 is to service debt.
Debt. Yep.
Okay. So you go into debt with pre-tax money, and you have to pay that debt back with after-tax money.
Absolutely.
Right.
So when you're paying the debt back with after-tax money, and you're in like I was, a 53.53% tax bracket, the highest tax bracket in Ontario, it takes 4 times as long to pay the debt back, which is great for the banks.
Right.
Great for everybody you owe, right? Don't pay a cent event. We know which advertiser that is. I won't say the name. 0 down, pay later. Hey, how about a discount on your credit card rate? So one of the topics I wanted to talk about today was just that, credit. Yeah. Because credit is the new slavery. And credit that does not earn you income is the new slavery. So having a mortgage and you're paying a mortgage on a single family home is debt, but that debt, depending on where you are in Canada and United States, is going to increase your equity. And because you have equity, you can make moves. But if you have debt that does not provide you any type of return other than status, and I think I discussed what status was a couple of months ago. Right. Status is buying things you don't need with money you don't have to impress people you don't know or like.
Bam.
Yes.
So we have a lot of status.
Absolutely.
As a community.
Yeah.
And we're out there. I think that the kids would say back in the day, flossing.
Yes.
Right. And we're out there showing our wares. Black people in the United States own more Mercedes-Benz than anybody else in the other community.
Wow.
Right? So we're out there looking for status. We're looking for validation from some external force, and we're putting ourselves into debt to do so. Right. Very, very wealthy people don't wear brands.
Hey, but what's the guy's name? What's the old guy? What's his name? Warren Buffett.
Warren Buffett.
Yeah,
Right?
would be in his Toyota Corolla.
Lives in the same house he bought 50 years ago, and drives a domestic car, very
Yep.
basic,
Yeah.
right? What I'm saying to you is you can have nice things. Have nice things. I'm okay with you having nice things. All I'm saying is if you're going to have nice things, make sure that you are paying for those things cash.
Yep.
Or if you're going to pay on credit because you want the points, we were going to talk about that. Get the points. It's fine. As long as you pay the card off at the end of the month, so you have no trailing balance. I don't care what the interest rate is on the card. 24%, 21%, 19%, doesn't really matter. Because if you have zero balance at the end of the month, who cares what the interest rate is, right? So all I'm going to say is if you have a travel card, you have a movie card, you have a food card, whatever you're going to use, whatever card you're going to use, do the math on whether that card makes sense. If it has an annual fee, I have a card that has an annual fee, but that card gives me access to the lounge at Pearson and the lounge at the airports where I'm going. So lounge access is free food, free drink, and a much more relaxed experience at the airport. It gives me the ability to bypass the line for security at the airport. So when I come through Pearson with this card, there's another line for me that's much shorter than general population. I like that benefit. Plus, my card is for my business. So because I have the business, I can write off the fee for the card as a business expense. So I'm getting a lot of benefits from this card for the amount of times I travel by air. I've already done it 3 times this year, and I'm going to do it again in the fall. This card serves me because when I want to rent a car, the insurance on this card is bulletproof. When I lose my luggage, the insurance on this card is bulletproof. If I have an emergency when I'm traveling, the insurance on this card is bulletproof. So for me, this card makes sense. The fee is $600 a year.
Okay. But the benefits
for me makes total sense for the experiences I have with this card. My daughter wanted to go see Lauryn Hill. She goes, "Dad, can I borrow your card?" Why? Because I get front of the line access for concerts. I said, "Here's my card. Now you're gonna pay me back, right?" She looked at me and smiled. I walked away. I may never see that money, but she couldn't go see Lauryn Hill, and she got her tickets before everybody else got their tickets.
I didn't know she was coming to town.
Yeah, she's coming to town. So,
but you know what's crazy? I was making one of my few treks through downtown Toronto the other day on the Gardner. Sting is coming this weekend.
Wow.
Okay.
I said, "Oh my goodness!" But now there is a lot. Okay, there's a lot of comments here and a question. So let's catch up a little bit.
Go for
Frequency Event Promotion says, "Thank you, Dr. Vibe 3. No problem." Also wants to shout out ACBN as one of the sponsors for the networking event. Fitness IQ Cam says, "Wild what Wayne is sharing." Also saying, "Preach, Wayne." Also, hail up Roger Dundas. Good to see. I don't wear brands, but I'm not wealthy. LOL.
You are wealthy, Roger. You are wealthy.
Yeah, you are wealthy. Right?
You have the mindset, and you're doing big things.
And not only that, wealth is not just financial.
Facts.
Wealth is not. I say it periodically. The greatest wealth we have in our Black/melanated families is our family. That's the foundation of wealth. So I'll leave it at that. So Wayne, would that be an Aeroplan card? Also, Frequency Event Promotions has Sir Harris. What is the name of that car? Are you at liberty to say?
100% Amex Platinum.
There you go.
Gotcha.
All right. Now, question Heather Harris had a little while back, and Heather, I hope you're still here to hear it, or you can watch the replay. What about single people, especially women who can be more financially vulnerable?
100%. There's this fallacy out there that, strong individualism is the way to go. So everybody says, Ryan, you go out there, you go get your house for yourself and your family. Vibe, you go out and do the same. I'll go out and do the same. And that's what we're doing, playing the individual game. And then, think about your hand. Your hand has 5 fingers. We want your finger to go out and push the object. 1 finger. So Ryan's out there with 1 finger. Vibe's out there with 1 finger. I'm out there with 1 finger. Every other community is pushing with a full 5 people, 1 hand, pushing the same thing. And they're moving it faster and further. Why? Because we break our fingers when we try to push too much weight.
Right.
We get under too much pressure and we break our finger, but they're pushing with their hand. And sometimes they're bringing in other communities pushing with their hand. So you think about other ethnic communities, they're working together. They live together. I'm going to name a couple of parts of town. You don't have to tell me in the comments who lives there, but you know, Brampton, Markham, the Danforth, Woodbridge, Agincourt, right? King West or Bloor West, right? There are communities there, and they live together and support each other. And Bathurst, east of Bathurst from the water all the way up to Newmarket.
Yep.
Right? East
that
on
whole
Bathurst.
Street. Yep.
Right, the whole street, all the way up from the water, all the way up to Newmarket. We know who lives there. And they live together and practice something called collective economics, which means the dollar turns in their community multiple times before it leaves, which creates an economic foundation. And because they all live together, it creates a political foundation because they're in the same riding for both city, provincial, and federal. They're all living in the same areas. That means whoever gets the vote in that area has to serve them, and they have critical mass.
Yep.
Well, guess what? Vibe lives in one part of Toronto. Ryan, you live in another. I live in another. We're all part of the Black community, but we have zero economic power, zero political power because we don't live together.
Black neighborhoods. I don't believe in the C word. Neighborhoods. We have neighborhoods.
So we don't have neighborhoods that have the socioeconomics and the demographics to effect change. Because the people who live in those clusters that look like us are usually at the bottom of the socioeconomic ladder and are not politically savvy. So they don't vote. Or if they vote for reasons that may or may not be critical thinking for the candidates that are there. And the people don't have to fight for the vote. They kind of know you're kind of going to go red. We kind of know you're going to go red, so I'm not going to spend any time there because I kind of know you're going to default to red, right?
Okay.
Imagine, and they're doing that in the States because they know you're going to vote blue. And I don't have to spend any money. I don't have to give you anything. I give you symbolic wins, but I don't give you any monetary wins. So we have to think about collective economics. Never before, in recent history, there's never been a time that it makes sense for us as a community to come together and practice group economics, because what's about to happen with these mortgage rates, what's about to happen with these housing debts and this consumer debt that we all have. People are spending 40, 50, 60% of their income just to put food on the table and pay their rent and pay their car payments, because you don't want a Honda Civic that's 10 years old. You want an Acura. You don't want a Toyota. You want a Lexus, right? So when you go and you have these, how should I call it, ego aspirations for brands that do nothing for your community. When's the last time, Dr. Vibe, you saw something sponsored in the community from any one of the major luxury brands, other than alcohol?
Other than leisure? No, because the thing is, they don't have to do it because we're giving it to them, so they don't have to work.
Correct.
They don't have to work.
Yeah, they have to work
and what's even worse is when those things get sponsored, they control what the communication is.
Right.
Right? Because if you have something sponsored by one of the financial banks, you got to make sure your message is aligned with what they want.
Correct.
Their brand. Because if you don't do that, you're never going to see an opportunity again.
So this is what I'm saying. So you understand that freedom requires you to owe no person, I'm going to say no man, no person, anything but love. So if you are, imagine the Ryan, imagine the Vibe, imagine the Wayne, imagine everybody who's on this call, mortgage free, credit card debt free, $1 million in the bank, earning 6%, which is going to break off $60,000 a year. How are you living?
How are you living? Whole different life.
There's a whole bunch of comments,
Go
but
for it.
okay, I'm going to bring out a statement, then we'll get to comments. And I read this last night during the Dr. Vibe Allies. Gentleman, I'm going to have to get his name. I saw the other day. He said, "When you regain your time, you are winning. When you are giving up your time, you are losing. Who you give your time to controls you."
Facts. So think about this. You can have life, and there's a lot of people who have life. They have nothing but time, but they have no money. There's a lot of people who have money, but they have no time. So these are professionals out there. They're commuting an hour each way, go train or car to get to where they have to go. They're working 8 or 9 hours at work. Then they're coming home and they're wishing for the weekend. And on the weekend, they do everything they possibly can. Do you want to go to Costco tomorrow at 10 o'clock? Or do you want to go to Costco Tuesday at 8:30 in the morning?
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So,
and I live 3 minutes drive from a Costco.
Right. So what I'm saying is the only way you get lifestyle is when you have time and money.
Yep.
And society is not designed for you to have time and money.
And
designed for you to have one or the other if you have a job working for someone else. And I'm not going to put down jobs. I had jobs for many, many years. But what I learned is that when I got a boss that didn't like the fact that I was bald, or didn't like the fact that I had a beard, or didn't like the fact that I was taller than them, didn't like the fact that I had more flavor than them, I was at risk. My wife was at risk. My kids were at risk. My mortgage was at risk. My car payment, everything was. Somebody who was maybe the same age as me and sometimes younger than me, who didn't look like me, had absolute control over my lifestyle.
Full life, right?
What? Everybody on the screen is an entrepreneur. I had to figure it out. It took me a while to figure it out. But once I got here, people said, well, if someone offers you, more money than you were making before or back in the day, would you go back and do a job? Are you kidding me?
Right.
I would rather sell everything I have and go to zero than ever work for anybody else again. And I've had some great bosses. But just the fact that they have, visualize what I have in your hand. If you're a guy, visualize what I have in my hand.
Yes, they got them.
And they're squeezing.
Yeah.
Right? You see the teachers right now? They say, listen, we're going to go on strike, eh? Why are we going to go on strike? Because the government has us here. And the government's saying, we're not giving you any more. And teachers saying, we're not accepting that you're not going to give us any more. So we're going to put the kids in the line of fire and go on strike at the beginning of school because we want more money. Last I checked, you decided to be a teacher. You decided to go work for the government. And now the government's not taking care of you. What a surprise. So I'm not going to say to you, you shouldn't get a raise. Teachers should be getting real money because our children and our children's outcomes, a lot of it stem from the teachers. Shout out to all the great teachers I had over the last, over my career. But trust me, you knew what you signed up for. You knew what you signed up for. So what I have a problem with is people saying, I know that this job does not pay. I'm going to go and design my entire career to go do this. And when it doesn't pay, they're surprised and upset.
Yeah.
All right. Let's stop because there's a pile of comments. As you know, Wayne is on fire. I'm going to stop the Instagram conversation for now. Catch the replay on the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube. Remember to give yourself grace and don't just manage your time, manage your energy. So, pile of comments. So, let's do this catching up. And Roger Dundas says that he is just joking. I am wealthy and healthy. You are absolutely.
Yeah, he is.
Absolutely. Ray says, thanks for broaching the subject of individuality. It is something we have to work diligently at changing. Good morning to Dr. Tachi, who hosts the livest program online about media, tech, and pop culture called Mediascope, Wednesdays, 5 p.m. Eastern Time, Instagram, 6 p.m., YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitch, and other platforms. Heather says this. Have got to account for the systemic racism that impacts our neighborhoods. Apples must be compared to apples. Fitness IQ. That was a good little mix up. Chest hires. Dr. Tachi. She's a Wayne fan. She says, my Toyota is 20 years old. I love it.
Yeah. By design.
There you go. Heather says there's They are also usually not pleased when we buy their products. Talking about some companies,
Some brands, yes.
Some brands.
Yes. Then also Heather Harris says, as the G.I. Joe cartoon used to say, quote, knowing is half the battle.
Facts.
Ted says, I love that giving up time versus the time quote. Love it. Yeah, that was when I heard that, I froze. I thought that was fantastic. Let's see. Heather says also, doing takes you to the next level. Wow, they're just like, whoo. Fitness IQ says, I'll take Tuesday at 10 a.m. at Costco.
Yes.
All day. All day.
Okay. Opal Inspire. Oh, nothing but love. Loves that quote. Frequency Event Promotion says, man, move. Shout out to Fitness IQ for sponsoring. Okay. She's sponsoring the event. Okay. Next up, thanks for breaking down the Black man and the employment environment. That environment is pure stress and trauma to us. I experienced some of that in my journey. Absolutely.
100%.
And yes, let's not blame those doing higher service. Let's look at the source of their discontent. We let the manipulators off the hook. So
Right.
we
To
got
that point,
Yeah.
I'm gonna say this. You know, education and teachers being on the front lines of our kids, and they have our kids for 8 hours a day. We have them in the morning. We drop them off to school. The teachers have them for the day. They come home from school. We come home from work. Maybe eat a little food, do a little homework, put them in the shower, bed, and up again. So teachers have them for the majority of the day. Paying these teachers a living wage, and a living wage is changing, right? So the teachers are now going on strike because the contract they negotiated 3 years ago at inflation that was nothing, 2%, right, is no longer there. So what they're saying is, hey, what we have now is not what we agreed to 3 years ago, which is true. What we have today may continue. So we need to make sure we're taken care of. So if this environment stays longer than expected, we're not bringing home less real money to our family. That means our salaries are higher, but because the salaries are not keeping up with inflation, we're actually bringing home less buying power if we maintain the same contract. So I understand where they're coming from. I also understand that governments are not efficient. So they know that if in the province of Ontario, we can take away the $120 to renew your plate, then if we're taking that money away from the tax base, where's the money coming from to give you the raise you want? Well, we know the governments also have municipal, provincial, and federal development taxes to build new houses, which is why the builders are saying, you know what, after I pay the government all these fees for this house, I have to add that to the price of the house, forcing the price of the house up. Well, what if the government of Ontario said, how about no developer fees? How about we give you a hiatus on the first 500,000 houses built over the next 2 years? We're going to take no development fee. The city says we're not going to take any development fee. All we're going to do is that you build a house and let the people move in. We'll take the property taxes. Do you think builders would be incented to build houses faster? I would say yes. Because a lot of those fees require only certain builders that have the cash flow to do pay the development fees to get the bids to win. So we're precluding the smaller builders from being in there because they have you need to have a war chest of cash in order to develop the land. Again, this is Ray and Ted's lane. But for me, I'm like, just remove the developer fee and make it easier for builders to build. Take away all these levies and all this other stuff that you're charging these guys, and they might build. What I fear is if they take away those fees, the builders will just take those fees and keep it as profit. Well, because the incentive of a corporation is to make money and shareholder value. So there needs to be some mechanism in place that said, listen, I'm not going to charge you the development fee, but if the price of this house goes up by the amount of the developer fee that you didn't have to pay, you're going to have to pay a tax to us in the amount of the developer's fee, and put some kind of check and balance in there so the developers don't do us dirty. Because you remember when they took off, Doug Ford took off the tax on gas. The gas price still went up, right? He took out his piece, and the gas price still went up.
Of course, because The gases are determined by the federal government, not the provincial government.
Right. But he has
Right.
this
So here's
portion.
exactly. So more comments coming in as always when Mr. Harris is here. Heather is, man, she is on fire. Heather, I hope you are subscribing. When governments get less, they raise the interest rates to get more. They want no one else to share the wealth. That's the system. We are, and she also says here, we are moving pieces around a game where cheating is common by major players. They know that the alternatives, but the returns are not enough for them. Okay.
Yeah,
And I got some
point,
questions here now too.
Right. Let me just respond to her points.
Mm.
Listen, the system is rigged. Okay? The system is rigged. But the rules are there. The question is, those who make the rules they're not using loopholes. They're using the rules to their advantage. This is what Trump said to Hillary on stage. He goes, listen, you're not closing my tax loopholes because your donors use the same tax loopholes I do, and I don't pay no tax, and they don't pay no tax, and no one's ever going to stop it. So stop your noise. And Trump said it on live TV during a debate.
Yep.
In Canada and the United States, there are rules of the game, but how those rules are manipulated and the expertise to do so, this is where we as a community need to invest. Ray has tips and tricks. Ted has tips and tricks. Roger has tips and tricks. I have tips and tricks. If you know those tips and tricks, you win. If you do not, you lose.
There you go.
Your question is, how do you become informed? I want you to think about an analogy of a plumber. Person goes to Home Depot, says, I got a leak in my basement, I'm going to go fix it myself. I watch YouTube, I go to Home Depot, I buy the stuff, I come back home, the leak is still there. Try to fix it, it's causing damage now, call the plumber. Plumber comes in, takes a look at the pipe, takes out one hammer, knocks the pipe once, leak stops. Plumber says, $150. The guy goes, yo, $150?
Right, for what?
It took you 30 seconds. He goes, yes, $150 for 30 seconds. Why? Because I knew where to hit. You pay for expertise. You pay for expertise so you can move faster and further. So if you have a mentality that says, I'm going to enlist experts in a lane that I don't know, I do not want to be a master in, and I can go to that expert and get that information, you will move further and faster. So we as a community have to stop asking for insights just for free. There's a lot of information on here on the Dr. Vibe Show multiple times a week with multiple experts, and we're giving it to you for free. And people still won't take action.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Make a decision and take action.
Right. Then people come and they pay Ray, Ted, myself for our expertise, and they get the results. Then we say, who do you know that would benefit from these results as well? And they say, yeah, I don't know anybody. Because they want the results for themselves. Nobody else. Individualism.
Gotcha.
Individualism. If I found a cure to cancer, I would tell you, Vibe. I would tell you, Ryan, if I found a cure to cancer.
Absolutely.
If I found a cure for poverty, and I believe between Ray and myself and Ted, we found the cure for property. The cure for property is assets that cash flow positively. What those assets are, be they real, as in real estate, or be they monetary, as in financial, the key to wealth is assets that cash flow positively. Not what they're worth on paper, because what the equity in my house is doesn't pay my mortgage, but cash flow does.
Yeah, that's a very important point, and
true.
I'd like to get into it now, but there's so many comments and questions that I don't want to leave some of the people behind. So let's catch up a little bit on comments, and there are some questions. So let's see. Ted says this: remove the red tape, you're probably saying, so it doesn't take so long to get permits to build. I agree, Wayne. They need to provide incentives for the builder to build. Fitness IQ goes, many people don't like to pay for expertise. Dr. Tachi says this: yes, also means you need to know your worth in your expertise. Frequency Event Promotion says pay for skills and not time. Also, Tim Frey says Have a great long weekend, everyone. Wayne and Ryan, Panthers Cage soon. Keep talking finance, Wayne. I don't know what Panthers Cage is. Maybe Ryan. Sounds like Ryan knows what it is, but obviously I'm left out again, which is no problem. Let's go back to a question from way back. Now, frequency event promotions. You had a question. I think it's been answered. Let me go to Ted's question first. No, Trevor's question. Would you say that Black Wall Street was a good example of good Black community economics? End result strategy may be different. Yes?
Yes, Black Wall Street was real. Tulsa and Greenwood and Harlem and other places where you could have a Black Wall Street where we came together collectively, minding our own business, running our own businesses, and then the powers that be at the time decided enough is enough. You guys are too close to the answer, so we have to destroy what you're doing to cause you to reset. And they know that resetting and rebuilding takes a long time, and you have to have the heart to want to do it again. And a lot of people didn't, because the insurance companies didn't pay out when everything was bombed with the government's intervention and everything was destroyed and burned to the ground and people were killed. There was zero reparations from the insurance companies or from the government for all those atrocities over the years. And that was 50, 100 years ago. I think 1921 for Tulsa. So over 102 years ago. And those things still happen. Philadelphia, 1985, move, and they bombed. American government bombed the Americans in the movement in Philadelphia in 1985. So that's one of the more recent ones. Here's what. You can't change the past. All you can do is learn from the past. The governments in Canada and the United States have proven that they will do whatever they can to not pay for the sins committed against us, but they will for other people. Mm-hmm. They will for other people, but they will not. It's I don't know if it's an unspoken truth or a spoken truth, but everyone else is going to get their reparations, but they've made it known to us they're not going to do it. Okay, California's talking about it. We'll see, but they're saying they're not going to do it. So what can we do? Can't do anything about Tulsa. Can't do anything about Greenwood. Can't do anything about Harlem. Can't do anything about Philadelphia. What I can do in 2023 is get together with like-minded people and do something, because now the revolution is televised.
Yep.
Right? 100 years ago, 200 years ago, 50 years ago, it might have been. But today the revolution is televised. And even when it's televised, people try to play games, but you have more opportunity and you can move faster today than any other time in history. So yes, we've had some great things. Yes, we've had some great starts. Yes, those starts have been destroyed, but the blueprint is still there. Garvey's blueprint is still there. Malcolm X's blueprint is still there.
Yep.
Dr. Claude Anderson's blueprint is still there.
Yep.
Right? All we need to do is keep applying the blueprint. And honestly, having the mental fortitude and resilience that even when they come to destroy, we still rebuild.
Don't quit. Right? Don't quit.
Don't quit.
Absolutely.
That's it. Okay. Heather Harris says, come on, facts. Roland Lowe says, okay, this is going crazy today, which is a good thing. You're blowing it up today, Wayne. We need nuclear families. Sophia Jacob from Ottawa says this. Sometimes do you think that individualism is safer? Black women, not speaking for all, and our independence has helped us thrive and has kept us from some of the harm that society has thrown at us.
Yeah, you know what? This is a conversation for another day, but I can tell you this. No other female in any other culture has to learn how to be independent except for ours, and only ours in the last 50 years. Because before 50 years ago, husbands and wives, 83% marriage in the Black community in the United States and around the world. A lot of things changed in the last 50 years. We won't get into that on this show, but I can tell you this. The fact that you have to move independently as a Black woman is a failure of Black men. Okay? And the Black men have been acted upon in a negative way by the powers that be to make us who we are. Now, once we know that the fix is in, it's up to us as individuals to unfix that narrative, right? With the high separation and the high divorce rate and the high single mom rate, all those things are symptoms of a bigger problem that wasn't caused by us. It was put in place to ensure we would be in this situation, because if you're single and you're by yourself, you're most vulnerable.
Absolutely.
Right? Very few times have I been together with, I'm 6'2.5", 6'3" in heels. Very few times in my life have I been with 6 guys or more, my height, my size, walking anywhere and have someone approach us in a negative way. But I'm walking by myself, they'll shoot their shot. So collective. If you're by yourself, you can still make moves by yourself, but can you make moves by yourself within a community? So we know you're moving by yourself, we know who you are, and we're providing you services and helping you facilitate your independence within access to a community and a collective. So you're by yourself, you're doing your thing, but you have access to a community. Hey, I'm a single lady, I'm by myself, I need a plumber. Come to the collective. This plumber works. This plumber doesn't work. This electrician works. This one doesn't work. This renovation guy works. He doesn't work. We give you the collective knowledge, even though you're moving by yourself. You don't have to move together, but we have to move towards something together that serves all of us. And right now, we haven't figured out what that is in this part of the world. And I'm watching in the States, there are pockets of excellence. All we need to do is go to those pockets of excellence and say, what are you doing right? What can we do better? Take the blueprint and apply it. Nothing happens without action. And I think a lot of people do a lot of talking, but you have to take action. You want to lose weight, you got to take action. You want to gain weight, you have to take action. You broke, you have to take action. You're rich, but you're paying too much tax. You got to take action. The key word is action. Faith without action is
dead.
All right. So a lot of us have faith, but we need to take action. Now, what's the appropriate action, and what's the action that's going to get you further, faster? That's where expertise needs to be leaned upon. And I don't mind paying $100 to save 1,000. I don't mind paying $1,000 to save 100,000.
Yeah.
If I go with Ray McMillan or I go with Ted Evans on a mortgage, and they show me from their plethora of lenders which one is going to save me more money over a 30-year or 25-year amortization, and I don't have to pay them because the institution that lends me the money will pay them, why wouldn't you use them? Why are you going to walk into a bank where the bank knows 100% and you know nothing, and they're not advocating for you, and go in there and give them your money? But people do it every day.
Yeah.
Doesn't make any
sense.
All right.
I know people say this is financial first rights, but this all relates to finance. It all because you know what? Finance is based on culture. Finance is based on culture. More comments coming. Ted says, facts, Wayne, on the subject of an independent woman versus a family unit. Women liberation and a lack of males being a man is hurting our communities. Trevor Dunlop. Tamari needs to come on from Monday. He was involved. I think we're going to have a big
this conversation came up then
on Monday. Trevor says 100%, and it weakens the next generation of black males. Divine Right. Good morning from the DMV era, streaming on my TV this morning. You all look good on the big screen. And Divine Right, I want to shout, sorry for your loss. You lost a very close personal friend. So condolences from the Morning Vibe family. Ted says this, a wheel is great as it is. We just have different sizes of wheels, but a wheel is a wheel. We don't have to reinvent it because we know it works. Sophia Jacobs experiences the trauma and harm that Black women face can cut deep and sometimes keep us from going forward in relationships, business relationships, partnerships. The preference to stay ready, 10 toes down, alone feels safer. Okay.
Yeah, listen, I understand where you're coming from. I was raised by a single mom and a single dad. They were together in the same household for about 7 years. And neither one of them had a model for what a man and a woman in the same house raising kids looks like. Neither one of them had a model. So very interesting that they took the chance to get married. But the fact that neither one of them had a model that they could go and look at as to how marriage should look, the fact that the marriage broke down kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Most people learn from duplication, right?
It's called modeling. So if the parents are both overweight chances are the kids are going to be overweight. If both parents are fit, chances are the kids are going to be fit. All things equal. All I'm saying is this: if you did not come from a wealthy household, it's incumbent on you to create a wealthy household. Maybe your parents have excuse, but you don't. You're living here.
Before we shut it down today, and there were other things we were going to chat about again, but the audience was on fire. No, the audience, this is really good stuff. Before I go, we got one last thing I want to chat with you about. Condolences, Fitness IQ to Divine Right, and says, thank you, Dr. Vibe. We express condolences. One thing I will ask you to talk about, the importance of cash flow.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get your thoughts on this.
Yeah, cash flow is king, right? Cash flow is king. So you want to look at different investments, real or financial, that are going to kick off cash. That's why you buy stocks that have dividends. Like the dividends can buy more stock, or you can take it as cash flow. Dividends get taxed at a lower level than income. Income gets taxed at your marginal tax bracket. Dividends get taxed at a much lower rate. So if you can have income in dividends versus income as income, you're going to save money on taxes. That's why a lot of these executives say, don't give me salary. I'll take $1 salary. Oh, you're a very benevolent person. Yeah, but give me stocks, right? Why do I want stocks? Because I can take those stocks as an asset, go to the bank and say, bank, I want you to hold my stocks as collateral. I'd like to take a loan against them. And they say, okay, you have $2 million worth of stocks here. We'll give you a loan of $2 million. Thank you. So now you have $2 million. Let me ask you a question. Do you pay tax on a loan? You do not pay tax on a loan. So when you don't pay tax on a loan, you have money coming in. All you're doing is paying back the interest on the loan. Versus paying income taxes. Right? Because the game is the game. And if you don't know the game,
there you go.
Now I still have my cash flow because my loan, I don't want the loan lump sum. I'll take the loan monthly. And this is my cash flow. Zero tax. Wow. Did you know you could do that with insurance?
Oh,
you can buy an insurance
we're not gonna get this in, but no, hold on a second. I was gonna bring this up, but make sure you write this down. I was watching a broadcast yesterday about using insurance to create your own bank. I gotta watch. Please write that down because I was watching that yesterday.
We've already had it, but next time I'll do it with slides because I want to show you 100% how it's done. Because listen, it's been around for over 100 years.
Right.
It blew my mind what I was listening to. I said, no, I got Wayne's got to talk about this in an upcoming segment because people need to see this. And again, this is why Wayne is so well. He has the game. He'll help you shortcut the shortcut. And again, he's trustworthy. What he has to stand by what he says, or he in trouble.
Yeah, I'm licensed in 5 provinces, right?
Yeah.
And now we have licensed agents in Maryland coming up. So we're moving into the States as well. Ray's gone to the States. I'm going to the States. I follow Ray. Ray's already doing this thing in Canada, the US, and the Caribbean. Caribbean's on deck. One of the companies that we have in Canada is Caribbean based, and they own a Canadian entity, which is kind of cool. Usually you never see that. It's usually Canadian owning a West Indian. But this is a West Indian now owning a Canadian entity. Ooh. And I can see over time them giving us access to the Caribbean, and that would be a major coup. Bottom line here is cash flow is king. Anything that reduces your cash flow, you need to really inspect. So one of the things I offer everybody who comes on this call is a financial needs analysis.
Yep.
And one of the things that we do is a cash flow analysis. What are you spending your money on? You spending your money on Oxtail? Spending your money on Starbucks? Spending your money on a car payment?
Ryan,
what are you spending your money on?
Guilty of the oxtail.
Right. Make oxtail cheap. Again, I have to buy my hat.
I will buy that.
Right? I want people to understand how their cash is flowing and where the money is going. When I do my analysis and I see people dropping $200, $300, $400 a month in takeout, skip the dishes, Uber Eats, DoorDash.
Oh, wow.
I see women dropping $200 a month on hair and nails, right? Every month, all the different oils and stuff for their scalp. Now, personal care is personal care. I get it, but they're dropping. And then we look at their investment portfolio, zero in the TFSA, zero in the RSP, zero in the savings account. Checking account is just transactions to pay their rent and pay their bills, and they have nothing, and they're in their 40s and 50s. Well, here's what. If Canada Pension Plan pays about $1,200, and Old Age Security pays about $700 max. That's $1,900, and you're by yourself. Last I checked, a 1-bedroom apartment in Toronto is $2,500.
Yep.
Whoa.
Which is why you see Walmart greeters in their 60s and 70s. Because if they don't do that, they don't even have enough to eat. So if you're independent and you're single, male or female, and you don't have enough money set aside, come and get an analysis done. And I can do it whether you're Canadian. I can set you up with my American counterparts if you're in the States, and have that analysis done to see where you're at. Once you know where you're at, you see where the bleeding is, you can stop the bleeding, right? We can't prescribe before diagnosis. But a lot of people come to me and say, hey, I want to make money. Hey, I want to save money. Hey, I want to pay less taxes. Great. All those things are possible. I need to diagnose first. Ray needs to diagnose first. Ted needs to diagnose first. Yeah. And then we can prescribe. So think of us as money doctors, right? You don't walk into the doctor's office and say, here's your prescription, go. No. Yes. Where does it hurt? Wayne, I'm not cash flowing positive. I'm cash flowing negative. Fantastic. Let's inspect that. What do you drive? Well, I drive a 10-year-old BMW that I'm paying $700 a month for because I want to drive a BMW. Okay. Right. No judgment. No judgment. No problem. Mm-hmm. You understand this is a depreciating asset. Let's look at what it's worth. Boom, 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 boom. Do the math, right? The other thing we know about cash flow is that if you understand the tax regime that you're in, and you understand what you can do to increase your cash flow without increasing your marginal tax rate, you can use that extra cash flow to pay down your debts and increase your cash flow without increasing your tax. And there's things you can do there, right?
There you go.
So we can talk about that another time as well.
All right. This has been massive as per usual. Sophia Jacob puts in here, whoa, Wayne, you're dipping into dangerous territory, hair and nails. Please, just hang on a second.
I solved that problem. I solved that problem right here.
For
I reduce my expenses. There you go.
Yes.
Ray says this. The number for a reasonable retirement in the GTA is possibly $4,000 to $5,000 monthly.
Wow.
If you're struggling working, imagine challenges are in retirement. Facts.
If you can't survive on 100% of what you're making now, how you can survive on 60?
Right.
Exactly. David Hughes from Australia. Welcome, David. Prognosis, diagnosis, and prescription equals what's wrong. How long? And start now. I like that.
Yes, Mr. Hughes. Thank you very much. Great.
Absolutely. All the way from Australia. Fantastic. Well, Mr. Harris, as usual, most of what we want to chat about today didn't even come to the table, but that's good because there's always future. Any last comments that you'd like to? No, actually, we'll talk about it offline because it's gone too long anyways. But any last comments you'd like to share with the audience?
The audience, thank you for being engaged. I love the comments. One of the things that I would love to do is give you the tools to understand where you're at. Where are you now? And where do you want to go? And if you are where you want to be, fine. I've got nothing for you. Keep on doing what you're doing. But if you are not where you want to be, regardless of where you are on this planet, money coming in and money going out is the same anywhere on the planet. Who can help you with that is localization. So if you're in Australia, you need to find someone who's local, who understands the tax laws over there to help you with what's available in Australia. I can help you in 5 provinces in Canada, and I have people who can help you in the United States. But get a free financial needs analysis and see where you're at. Cost you nothing. You're bleeding, and you're like, I don't want to go to the doctor. I don't want to go to the doctor. I'm bleeding, but you're bleeding. I don't want to go. I'm going to put a Band-Aid on. Okay.
Well, I think part of it is ego, and I won't get into too much detail. And fear. There was something that I was hesitating to do, and Wayne says, just do it. Just find out. Just find out. And when I got the results, I was blown away, and it made me feel great that I did it, and it also showed that I was better than I thought I was. Again, I made assumptions because I didn't know.
Right. And G.I. Joe says knowing is half the battle.
Exactly.
Yes.
As Wayne said a long time ago, I've kept it in the banners here. Where are you now? Faith, family, finance, fun, and fitness. Then you'll say, yep. Where do you want to go? And then you got to ask yourself, finally, how do I get from there to here?
Yes.
So that is it for today. Mr. Harris, thank you so much for taking this is massive today. Wonderful as usual. What do you have planned for the Labor Day weekend?
I'm about to leave here and go to my favorite butcher in the neighborhood, and I'm going to buy 2 tomahawk steaks.
Are you gonna have a cook-off with what? Oh, Grazer Geek.
No, with Grazer. Listen, Grazer is the man. Shout out to him. But I have a friend here in Saga, and he has this device that feeds pellets, and he's got the thermometer and all this stuff. We're gonna cook these things to perfection. Hold a bottle of very, very, very nice wine, and enjoy his pool and backyard with him and his family. So we're gonna have a good time.
All right. Well, look, thanks as always. I'm actually going to give you a call today. I've got something I need to ask you about, but always thank you. And people, please take advantage. Assessment doesn't matter where you are in the world. He can just give you an assessment, just an assessment.
And then take it to your guy or gal locally.
Exactly.
Happy to
all
do
the
it.
best, Wayne. Be well. Keep
have
the
a
faith.
great long weekend. Happy Labor Day.
Take care.
Right.
Bye-bye. Mr. Ryan.
Yes, sir.
You have your 10. Do you have your 10:30 as usual?
Yep.
Okay, I'll let you run then.
Hey, you do your thing. I appreciate it.
And yes, and for everyone on Monday, we'll be playing a replay, and we'll be back live next Friday. Ryan, we'll talk. Thanks again for everything.
Our pleasure. Later.
Take care. All right, so we got some more comments before we sign off here. Ted says, great discussion, everyone. Have a blessed long week, and I'm looking forward to the next show. Thank you. Frequency Event Promotions. Thank you, Dr. Vibe. Sir Harris. It's Sir Harris now, and Ryan Knight. Dr. Tachi says, Wayne is great. My question, Dr. Tachi, have you called him yet? I'm something tells me that I gotta, and Ted says, I'm coming, Wayne. All right. Heather Harris, great show. Trevor Dunlop says, thanks, Mr. Harris, as always. Thank you, Dr. Vibe. Ryan, thank you back. Epic conversation day. Like I said, when Wayne comes on, we have, like, it's in our private chat. There were a list of things. We only got to 1 or 2 of them. There were a list of things, but that's a good thing because engagement, and we're asking questions, and that's fantastic. So that's it for today. As always, you can catch replays of the Morning Vibe at the Morning Vibe, Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and Facebook. Also, Ryan's Afro-Caribbean Business Network on Facebook and YouTube, and Ryan O'Neill Knight on YouTube and LinkedIn. Let's see, what else do we have going on? Let's see, any more comments? Thank you, Roland. Great broadcast. Well, wherever you're watching this, and this is for everyone, if you haven't, subscribe to whatever platform you're watching this on. Okay? David Hughes from Australia. Sound advice is always welcome. Thank you, Dr. Vibe, for having Wayne on. No problem. If you don't have someone who's done an overview for you, reach out to Wayne. He'd be happy to give it to you. All right. I think we're done. Like I said, we're doing a replay on Monday, which is Labor Day. If you do celebrate it, thank you. And make sure you have a good weekend. We are back next Friday. I can't remember who's on next Friday, but I know we have someone on next Friday. And also, too, if you want to get in contact with me, website, the drvibeshow.com, email address, dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com, the Dr. Vibe Show on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, at drvibeshow. I haven't gotten used to calling it X yet. And then Instagram at the drvibeshow.com. Okay, as we close out for the first broadcast in September 2023, we say this, as always, live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions and aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. And remember to give yourselves grace. And don't just manage your time, manage your energy. Take care. Replay on Monday, but follow me because I'm always doing conversations. All right? Because I want to do them for all of us. Be well, keep the faith, and walk good.